Labels and selectors are Kubernetes matching language. Labels describe objects and selectors ask for objects with specific labels. Nodes can have labels too. A label might describe a zone, disk type, hardware class, or any stable property your cluster uses. Pod labels and node labels live on different objects. Labeling a pod app equals API does not mean it will run on a node labeled app equals API unless a scheduling rule asks for that. You can add a label with kubectl label node. The label becomes part of the node object that scheduling rules can read. If a label key already exists and you want to change its value, be explicit with overwrite. That protects you from accidentally changing placement metadata. When a pod asks for a label, the scheduler only considers nodes that match. The selector turns all nodes into a smaller candidate set. The simplest pod rule is nodeSelector. It says this pod can only land on a node with these exact labels. If no node has a requested label, the scheduler has no feasible node. The pod stays, pending until the label or the pod rule changes. Selectors are exact. A tiny mismatch in key or value is enough to remove every node from the feasible set. Use show labels when debugging. It lets you see whether the label you think exists is really on the object. When a pod stays pending, describe it. The events usually say that nodes did not match the pod node selector, which points you directly at the label rule. The word selector appears in several places. A service selector chooses backend pods. A node selector restricts which nodes a pod can run on. The mental model labels are facts attached to objects. Selectors are filters that find the objects with the facts you asked for.